Hi there! This week I had the utmost privilege to be a guest on Vitek Ladislav's LinkedIn podcast. So he is a social media and video marketing agency owner in Dubai, and he started a podcast online in order to help businesses and help anyone else turn their connections into customers on LinkedIn. I really hope you find this helpful and learn a lot. Remember to subscribe and please do comment below if there's anything that you would also like to find out.
So definitely, thank you very much for being on the show. It's absolutely awesome to have you here.
It's an absolute pleasure. I must admit, it was really cool to receiving your LinkedIn message.
Definitely. At the beginning of each podcast, I ask the guests, the speakers, can you tell us a little bit about what was your journey through the LinkedIn? So where it has begun and how it has evolved.
Yeah, of course. So I started with LinkedIn back in South Africa when we were still there. And I discovered the power of LinkedIn when I was in business development, actually, for a digital agency. And I started connecting with decision makers through LinkedIn and started building up a really good network. So then I realized that LinkedIn has got such a phenomenal power that you are directly linked to decision makers. It's human to human marketing. So that created an opportunity for me to start my own company, because now I've realized what the power is. I don't actually have to go to all these networking events. It is a lot more cost effective, and it's powerful. So I started using LinkedIn and creating a creating a network, and then built my own business on LinkedIn in South Africa. So when that started getting really good, I was able to build about 80% of my business then on LinkedIn. And then we moved over to Japan, and now I am busy trying to establish a new network and business here as well. It is a little bit more tricky because Facebook is actually the LinkedIn here. In Japan, they make use more of Facebook for networking than LinkedIn. However, the guys that are more the local market is not really on LinkedIn. However, the expat market and the guys that are interested in foreign type of business and foreign connections, they are all on LinkedIn. So it's a very niche market here. And yeah, that's kind of how we just continuing the journey with LinkedIn here in Japan as well.
How, if I can ask you, when it was, when your journey started on LinkedIn, and, you probably started as many of us, way back with the profile, not really doing much, and then realizing that the LinkedIn has the power and has the ability to help us and help in our business. When was it, and what was the aha moment when you turn as a LinkedIn user into a LinkedIn trainer?
Well, okay, so that's actually two different questions. So the aha moment was literally when I was able to connect with a managing director of a hotel series in South Africa, and I was able to secure a meeting with him. I was invited to go out and spend some time at the hotel with me and my partner at that time. And I was like, this was literally just from a message. It wasn't from anything, and this whole thing happened. And I was able to secure that client, which at that stage for the company that I worked for was their second biggest client. And it wasn't even that difficult. It was literally a connection message at the right time, said the right things that they wanted to hear. And so, yeah, that was my aha moment of how powerful this is. And then when the moment that I turned into a trainer was a few years later, actually, only, when I've already established a bit of a network and I've already established my agency. And I realized that this is yet again another form of an opportunity for people to gain knowledge. Knowledge is power. And the more you can give people knowledge, first of all, it forces us as agents and as experts to be better, because if they know more, it forces us to be better. And second of all, it also helps people. So if I can help someone else to drive a bit of traffic to them and get a little bit of business to them, I mean, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. But it still puzzles me. What prompted you to move to Japan? What was behind this decision?
My husband got a job with ANA. He's a pilot, and he's flying for Air Japan. So that was kind of not a business decision. That was a personal decision of, and again, the power of LinkedIn and the power of online. It doesn't really matter where I'm situated. The market, yes, does differ. And the way that you tweak your messaging and the way that you tweak how you communicate with the people does differ. Yeah, but that's different markets. But the fact that I can still operate and we can still generate an income and we can still apply the same principles, that's universal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know that you've been in Japan for still very short time, but I'm pretty sure you kind of like a grasp the the overall look and feel of the Japanese LinkedIn, and you mentioned that the Facebook there is more of a LinkedIn. But can you tell us a little bit what are the specifics of the environment around LinkedIn in Japan?
So the first thing is the Japanese is extremely conservative, extremely conservative. The other big challenge that there is everything is in hiragana or katakana or kanji, which means for us Westerners, it's really tricky to read and to understand. So it literally is like as if you're stepping onto a brand new profile or a brand new type of system that you need to learn. Okay, so that's the one challenge. The other thing is, as mentioned, they're not as active on LinkedIn. However, so that is a pro and a con. So if you just want to speak to an average Joe, which no one actually wants to, if we are aiming for decision makers, it's okay. The other, so yeah, that's pro and con with not everyone is on there, but the decision makers are. The other thing is the people that are actually on LinkedIn here, they are definitely your decision makers. All of them do speak English because they're in a higher level of education and usually a higher level of in the business. So yeah, one, it is fewer, but it's more direct. So it's like almost as if we're speaking SEO and Google. It's long tail keywords. We've been able to niche it down to specifically who we want to talk to in the specific industries. Some of them, the profiles are still in Japanese, in hiragana or katakana, which makes it tricky. But then you just tweak your strategy on how you connect with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you actually intend to have some clients in Japan, or you just basically market yourself internationally?
All right, so because we are here, and I do believe there's a massive market and a massive opportunity for LinkedIn specifically in Japan because it's not overly used. And there's not a lot of people that know how to use it here. So one, yes, there's an opportunity for coaching. There's an opportunity for training and that type of thing, but also for branching out in actual business. So a small example is, yes, I have been getting clients on LinkedIn in Japan, which I thought was freaking brilliant. But yes, I have been able to do that. And second of all, I have a potential, or I can't give too much information about that, but a potential new agency agreement that's in a partnership that was formed on LinkedIn and that we are pursuing currently in order to break into this market specifically with a local footprint.
That sounds brilliant. In just like a few months, you being there and kind of like securing good deals already from LinkedIn. That gives a lot of credit to what LinkedIn is and how successful that platform can be if we use it properly. Talking about using it properly, are there any specific strategies for LinkedIn success which you personally follow and teach to your clients?
Yeah, so this is just my opinion. Everyone has to customize it to their personality specifically. Everyone has got a different way of speaking. Everyone's got a different way of doing things. But the thing that we found for me and my business partner that really, really works is to actually try and connect with people personally. So it's human to human marketing. The return on investment that we found with ad spend is very expensive and not necessarily for what we want to achieve the best. I do think it is a lot better if you have if you're in a recruitment business, for example, then ads and jobs and things work a lot better. But if you are, let's say, in the fuel industry or in some kind of industrial industry, then I have not found that ads or even the pages are very engaging. However, if you are able to apply the human to human aspect, you have a recipe of success. So that's what we've been focusing on mostly. It is a lot more time consuming. It really is, because you're building relationships with people, human to human. It's exactly the way that you and me connected. Yeah, send a message, connect it first, have a few follow-up messages, have a few conversations, and then only after rapport was built, after trust was built, then only, hey, would you be keen on ABC? So yeah.
I got it. And it's really interesting because I think that's basically what LinkedIn is all the time teaching us, right? Like to really connect on a person-to-person level, on a human, as you mentioned, human to human. Are there any specifics in that space which you would find for yourself as something which I don't know? I would say, is that your secret, or is there any secret tip which you have how to connect heart to heart, human to human?
I don't actually think that is a secret. It's just think about a logical relationship. So if you in any kind of logical relationship, if we meet someone that just for the first time, what is the logical next step that you'll do? You're just going to first say, hi, how are you? Like, cool. Oh no, let's chat a bit. All right, cool. Do you want to go for coffee? Like what is in any normal relationship? What is the logical next step? Like if I just meet with you, or I just send you a message immediately and like, hey, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, that you're going to freak out. That's not going to be something. So always try and think of what is the logical next step in a normal relationship. That's when you have a key to success.
Definitely, I know that you've been on a LinkedIn for a very, very long time. You, the practitioner of LinkedIn, obviously, you've seen many things on LinkedIn. How much time you personally spend on LinkedIn?
All right, that is a little bit of a tricky question, because it also depends on. So if I work on a client's profile, it's usually a lot longer than it is on my personal profile. That what they said. What's that saying about the cobbler's kids don't have shoes? It's kind of the same thing. So usually, if I work on my own profile, the amount of time spent mostly is to connect with people and to respond to their messages, in the human way. That is, and that differs day to day. If there's a lot of people that actually responded, or if it isn't. I have found that a lot of people actually respond after hours, because that's when everyone like gets on their messaging and, oh, this happened or that happened. So the most time spent is on messaging, and not a lot of time is actually spent on posting.
So if I rephrase the question in a slightly different way, what would you see is a time which one should spend on the LinkedIn in order to be a little bit more visible, a little bit more engaging with the clients? So what would you suggest for your client to spend? How much time should spend on LinkedIn?
Again, that's a very difficult question, because it depends on how big your following is, how many people you actually have a connection with. If you have less than 500, then 10 minutes are fine, because you don't have that many people to actually connect with and to spend time on with. If you have more than 5,000, then okay, let's put in a bit more effort, like maybe an hour and a half. But it really depends on your following. How big is your following? That will kind of correlate on how much time you would spend on LinkedIn, engaging, reading through posts, reading your feed. That type of thing.
Okay.
Does that answer your question a little bit better?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I understand that it always depends on your specific situation. I thought if you have any kind of like a rule of thumb, that maybe it's a 1 hour a week or 3 hours a week, or whatever that is.
I honestly try and steer away from that, because yes, rather go on what your actual feed is, how many connections you have, and how long that would take to have an actual human connection with those people.
Okay. For the human to human connection, obviously you need to be posting, right? Like you need to be putting out content. Is there, again, do you have anything specific for your clients, what you would tell them, how often should they post?
Like I said, the engagement that we found a lot on the feed, and if you post, isn't as great as the actual inboxing. So I tend to put a lot more emphasis on the human factor than to just post. So yeah, if you post on LinkedIn maybe twice a week, I think that would be sufficient. It doesn't have to be massive amount of articles. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of content. It's more just showing that you are active should be sufficient enough, especially if you've got something eventually that you'd like to tell people about. But then again, I would move to inboxing and the personal connection if you really want someone to read what you have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting that you're talking about inboxing and direct messaging, because not many people are actually touching on this topic. Is there anything what you normally teach to your clients? I understand that you mentioned already human-to-human relationship. Look at it as any other relationship. Basically, start with the hello, you, and start from the interest. Is there any I don't know, strategy which you use for being successful on direct messaging?
You know what? Not really, because again, it depends on who we're targeting, who's our ideal clientele, who's the person that we want to speak to. How do we frame our messaging to be valuable to that person? That's again human to human. If you want to impress a girl at a coffee shop, what do you think she's gonna like? You're not gonna get drunk on the first date. You're gonna have a cup of coffee and spend as much time possible finding out about that person, right? So no, there's not an actual rule of thumb. I always just try and revert back to what is the logical next step in a human actual relationship, because that is what we're currently building, especially in COVID. We are building still relationships. We are still connecting. The format or the platform has just changed.
Mm-hmm. Would you agree that the posting is more for visibility and getting more your name out there, and the DM, the direct messaging, is more for converting client, getting them through the LinkedIn to offline to more sort of a deeper business conversation? Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I would definitely agree with that statement. Posting is more for visibility and just creating a little bit of hype about, hey, I'm actually alive. I am here. I do have stuff to say. But yes, if you want to create a business relationship, then offline or on the inboxing side.
Awesome. Coming back to the content on LinkedIn, what would be your suggestion? What we should put out there as a LinkedIn users to gain some more eyeballs, more visibility, more engagement?
So the first thing is, who do you want to talk to? So who's your target audience? So I like anyone. Who is your specific target audience? For example, if you are a property attorney, just an example, and you want to speak to agents because they would be your clientele, right? What do agents want to know? What kind of things would they find valuable? So is it about the interest rates? Is it about finance? Is it about the process of going through a sale? Has the sales process changed via COVID? Anything like that. So anything that's got to do with what your specific clientele would find valuable. That's what I would definitely put out there.
So is that a statement which is kind of like resonate with the Gary V talking about, give value, give value, give value. Don't worry about anything else, and just put your best pieces, whatever you can create, some content, value added content, and just put it out there for your clients.
I actually don't know who you're talking about there.
Okay.
But the concept of adding value, yes, I do, but also only to an extent. And the reason why I say only to an extent is if you give so much free, you kind of go into friend zone. So when does the dating kind of start? When does someone actually then move into, all right, I want to pay for your service? So yes, value is definitely very important, but I also want to add that, okay, I don't want to stay in the friend zone. I do want to get into the dating zone. So how do I convert that value into something that I can actually make money off?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you personally, what are you posting, and what is your strategy on LinkedIn? How do you get clients through LinkedIn?
Kind of exactly what I've been talking about the whole time is personal connections. But what I have been doing here in Japan specifically is I found that the expat community and property here is very difficult. It is very difficult for a foreigner to rent a property here, for example, or for a foreigner to not buy, but to specifically rent, and to find a property that a local is willing to rent to. So what I've been doing is because we've been struggling with that, finding places to stay, because we don't speak Japanese and we are not locals. So I've been starting doing a YouTube channel, a chat specifically talking about these type of things. And I've been using that as content on my LinkedIn profile, because I've started connecting with expats in Japan. All of them on a certain decision-making level. So all of them do need rent. All of them might want to start buying property here. So that's who I'm targeting at. And that is how I'm starting to create a vibe about me and what we do here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Sort of like having very, very clear strategy of who you want to talk to. So basically that's what you're talking about, you know, like figuring out who is your target audience,
yes.
What's the language, you know, what is the relevancy of my message, and targeting that particular audience with those messages. Yep,
definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head with the relevance. It really is all about relevance. And if you have a specific niche target, usually that relevance becomes all smaller and smaller. So what you put out there must be a lot more specific, a lot more almost pitfall orientated. What are the common pitfalls that people do? What are the things, the common mistakes that people do in this area? But yeah.
It's actually very interesting because many times, you know, the business owners, they usually think like, I have you know, my product is for everybody. My product is for everyone. Everyone can use it. How should I niche down? Why should I niche down? Because then I'm losing the opportunity somewhere else. What would you say? What would you say to that? I know it's not necessarily a LinkedIn related topic, but you know, like overall, what do you think about that?
So I would say, all right, cool, that's great. I agree with you. We don't want to miss out everyone. But how about we segment it? So how about January, we focus on this aspect of your property? Because in all marketing, the minute you start speaking to everyone all the time, your message gets diluted. And then again, what is the relevance? Because if someone is earning, let's say, top amount, they're not going to have the same type of interest in the person that's scraping by at the bottom. So if it is for everyone, great, but how are you communicating to both people at the same time? So I would rather say segmented. If we are talking to, if you want to sell this one product that is there for everyone, segment. January, we focus on that specific target audience. Let's say February on that. So it can be monthly, it can be quarterly. That's how I would do it specifically, so that we do cover the whole range. We don't miss out on everything, but that it's quality leads that we get from this. It is not just a random like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Yay. When someone comes, we want them to actually be interested and do something with it because there's a relevant factor to it. So that was my conversation with Vitek Ladislav. Please remember to show him some love. His podcast is LinkedIn Smart. If you have it, I'll also put the link in the description. So yeah, please stay tuned. The second part of this video will be shown shortly. So yeah, remember to comment and do let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to find out.